Good evening. You're watching Left, Right and Centre. I'm Nidhi Razdan. Tonight, as the fight between the Delhi Chief Minister and the Lieutenant Governor intensifies, is this hurting the bureaucracy which is caught in the crossfire? Also tonight, an exclusive interview with Railways Minister Suresh Prabhu on 1 year of the Modi Sarkar. He admits communication on the land bill wasn't handled well, but insists that's now changing. Well, the war between the Lieutenant Governor and the Delhi Chief Minister has only got worse. First, the LG today struck down all transfers and postings by the Delhi government over the last 4 days. And then Mr. Arvind Kejriwal has shot back, asking what gives the LG the authority to do so. Speaking at a store inauguration this evening, Mr. Kejriwal said that everyone had united against his government, but that they had public support.
It's an all-out Jung in Delhi. The turf war between Delhi's Lieutenant Governor and Delhi's Chief Minister doesn't look like it'll end soon. After taking his complaints to the President, the Delhi Chief Minister has now written to the Prime Minister saying the central government should not interfere in the working of the state government. Meanwhile, in a fresh salvo, the Lieutenant Governor has struck down all transfers and postings ordered by the Delhi government in the past 4 days. In his letter, Najib Jung says the Lieutenant Governor alone is competent to approve transfer and postings of principal secretaries and secretary-level officers. Minutes after the Lieutenant Governor's letter, Arvind Kejriwal sent a reply. Please inform us under which clause of the Constitution are you sending us these directives? The Home Minister Rajnath Singh did meet the President today. He said they did not discuss the Delhi crisis and he made it clear that the centre will not step into this open power struggle.
मैं समझता हूं कि एलजी और चीफ मिनिस्टर आपस में बातचीत के द्वारा इसका समाधान कोई न कोई निकालेंगे ही.
Earlier, as sources said, many officials in Delhi government wanted to move out as they did not want to be caught in the crossfire. The Delhi government reached out to its officials. Minister of State for the PMO, Jitendra Singh, has also said that officers are reluctant to be posted in Delhi.
That if one single bureaucrat gets adversely affected, whatever be the reason, whether he's in Delhi or elsewhere, it leads to a kind of a message which ultimately ends up reducing the initiative and the will to work on the part of all the other bureaucrats.
AAP has also, however, denied the reports. The Congress has warned that the situation will bring the administration to a standstill.
मेरा उनसे निवेदन है और उपराज्यपाल जी से भी निवेदन है कि वो कृपया अफसरों को मोहरा ना बनाएं.
A flurry of letters marked day 5 of this escalating turf war between the LG and the Delhi government. In middle of bitter back and forth, the centre has indicated it will not intervene. So who will decide? Is this now headed to the courts? Will Arvind Kejriwal now escalate his demand for full statehood? Clearly, this is not the last we've heard of this bitter power play on in the national capital. In New Delhi, I'm Sonal Mehrotra, NDTV.
Meanwhile, the IAS Officers Association is meeting in Delhi this evening and is expected to pass a resolution. Interestingly, among those present include Shakuntala Gamlin, whose appointment by the LG as Acting Chief Secretary sparked off this latest controversy and this standoff. Also present there is Rajendra Kumar, the Principal Secretary to the Chief Minister. Well, in this entire tussle that is taking place, is it all hurting the bureaucracy? Joining us on the program tonight from the Aam Aadmi Party, it's Senior Leader Ashish Khaitan. Also with us here in the studio, Senior Lawyer, Supreme Court Advocate Sanjay Hegde. We've got Amitabh Thakur, who's a serving IPS officer, joining us tonight from Lucknow in Uttar Pradesh. And we'll be joined by the BJP and by the former Additional Solicitor General Vikash Singh in just a little while from now. I'll ask Sanjay Hegde this issue first, because Mr. Hegde, there are all kinds of legal opinion on this. We've heard, from lawyers like Rajiv Dhawan and Indra Jaising and Gopal Subramaniam saying that no, the Chief Minister is well within his rights to make these appointments, that the LG is overstepping his authority. There are others who believe that the LG is the final authority. Where do you stand in this? Legally, what is the position as far as you're concerned?
See, legally, before we go to the provisions which were made for Delhi, you must go on the constitutional architecture, which positions that India is a parliamentary democracy. So you have the head of government being the Prime Minister or the Chief Minister, and you have the head of state who is the President, the Governor, or in this case the Lieutenant Governor. The President and the Governors, they reign, they do not rule. Here in this case, Delhi is a bit unique in as much as it has the national capital, and because of that, when it was upgraded from being a union territory, certain subjects were reserved for the center. They also put in a provision which said that in certain matters where there is a difference of opinion between the Lieutenant Governor and the Chief Minister, the Lieutenant Governor could make a reference to the President for his opinion, and pending such an opinion, if it was an urgent case, he could take his own decision. Now, clearly there is the power, but then we also have the question of the manner of exercise of that power. In this case, was the matter ever referred to the President for an opinion? Or did the Lieutenant Governor straight out go on his own bat, invoke the urgency clause? If the latter is true, then if that is examined by the courts, I dare say that it will be struck down. Even assuming that they have emergency and urgency powers, you cannot, when there is an elected government, micromanage the administration.
But is that a question of law or is that a question of propriety?
No. That's surely a question of law and a question of constitutional law. Just imagine that the President of India thought that a particular department of the government of India was not working well. Could he change the bureaucracy there? No. That is not the way the Indian system
so you
functions.
believe the LG is exceeding his brief, and you believe that constitutionally it is laid out very clearly, and therefore you don't think there was any urgency for the LG to have gone ahead and done what he did. You're basically saying he could invoke these powers if there was an urgency.
There is a provision, but that provision has to be acted strictly upon. You first make a reference to the President, that's the union government, ask for the opinion. If that opinion is not forthcoming and there is urgency, only then you act. But even there, it's not for all these routine appointments, transfers and things like that.
Okay, so Vikash Singh, Sanjay Hegde, they are giving us one perspective on this legally. What is your view on this? Again, so many conflicting legal positions on this. Has the LG gone too far?
Well, Nidhi, you'll have to look at this from two perspectives. The first perspective is whether the appointment of the Chief Secretary, does the Lieutenant Governor have an absolute power, or whether it is something which he has to do only upon the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. If you see the conduct of business rules, there are 4 positions in Delhi which are accepted and which can't be done by the Delhi government, which has to be done by the central government, and the Lieutenant Governor is the representative of the central government as far as Delhi is concerned. These 4 positions are Chief Secretary, Delhi, Commissioner of Police, Delhi, Secretary Home and Secretary Land. These are considered to be the accepted matters. And when you see the accepted matters, there are 3 accepted matters. One is police, the other is land, and the third is public order. Now, as far as police and land are concerned, they don't pose such a big problem. But public order is something, which can pervade through amongst all the bureaucracy in Delhi. Now, when the question of the appointment of the acting Chief Secretary came, and when the Lieutenant Governor took a call on the basis of the flip-flop, let me put it, flip-flop of the ARB. If you want to go into the specific, I can give you that as well, but I'm not going to the specifics. On the flip-flop of ARB, and he took a call that he will go by seniority, and he said that he'll go for gambling because there is nothing against gambling. That should have been the end of the matter. Now, what happens thereafter?
No, but is that a call that the LG should have taken?
Government immediately.
Is that a call the LG should have taken?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I've already said that these are 4 positions where the Delhi government does not have a say. It is the central government, and if you want, I can quote the conduct of business rule. I think it's rule 56 or 55, which clearly specifies that these 4 positions are to be appointed by the central government. Now, once the Chief Secretary is to be appointed by the central government, the acting Chief Secretary also is to be appointed by the central government. It's by convention that you take the opinion of the state government as well. No harm. It's very good. It's good democratic polity that you take the opinion, even though it may be your final say. But take their view. Ultimately, you have to work. There has to be synergy in the working of the central government and the state government, even though it's not a full state. Now, once that call is taken, and then, what happens is that they immediately transfer this person who has notified gambling's appointment. Now, that is something which is clearly a consequential action to what the LG has done. And ultimately, any transfer order that takes place of a principal secretary, the competent authority is LG, and he has not consulted. So, he feels that you can't victimize an officer who has done
Sanjay
the
Hegde doesn't
duty
agree.
of notifying an appointment with the LG.
Sanjay Hegde doesn't agree. Sanjay doesn't agree with you on that. I'll give him a quick chance to respond before I go to the rest of the panel. Is this also vague? Is this a grey area?
Of course, it's
Who
a
does
grey
the chief secretary get appointed by? Who appoints the chief secretary?
As Vikas is right, that the rules provide, but no rules can override the constitution, and no rules can override the constitutional architecture. To say that forget the government of the day, I am going to go ahead unilaterally and appoint my choice, that is just not parliamentary democracy. We go by the Westminster
where is
system.
the constitutional architecture?
We go by the Westminster system of government here, and as long as there is an elected government in office, it does not behove any lieutenant governor to act like a governor general.
But you know, let me get Nalin Kohli in here. Nalin, there was an interesting anecdote that was pointed out by one of the newspapers this week about how when Mr. Advani was the Home Minister and Sheila Dikshit was the Chief Minister, she wanted a particular person to be appointed Chief Secretary. The LG at the time, Vijay Kapoor, had a different choice. And when the matter did go to the Home Ministry, Mr. Advani actually rejected the LG's nominee, telling officials that an elected Chief Minister should have the right to select his or her team of officials. Does propriety not demand that a chief minister should have a say, in the very least, in who their officers should be? Mr. Kohli.
But I'd like to go back to the legal discussion that's taken place between Sanjay Hegde and Mr. Vikas Singh, both senior lawyers, and we are all colleagues at the bar. The point is very simple. First of all is that Mr. Kejriwal got the chief secretary of his choice, Mr. KK Sharma, who doesn't seem to be wanting to continue. On the file, there has been a consultation, and the last two names, which Mr. Manish Sisodia has approved, is Parimal Rai and Shakuntala Gamlan. Parimal Rai has withdrawn. That leaves Shakuntala Gamlan. So I don't understand where is the charge of consultation. I mean, after all, they didn't reject the name. Now let's get back to the issue about services. And I would just like to draw Sanjay Bhai as well as Vikas Ji's, attention to entry 41 of the state list. Entry 41 of the state list is dealing specifically with state civil service and a state public commission, services commission, state public services commission. Delhi does not have that. It's an all India service that serves Delhi. So therefore, in terms of service appointments, it really flows from the center, which is given to the administrator, who is the lieutenant governor. What I think is fundamentally happening in this sort of battle, if you would like to call it, is that the chief minister of Delhi, who's called a chief minister, is not exactly a chief minister in the same right as of a state. So when you look at it in terms of devolution of power from the constitutional framework, in terms of governor, in terms of chief minister of a full-blown state, you will need to differentiate in the fact that this is a union territory with some special situations or special provisions.
I just give you the example of what Mr. Advani did as Home Minister. What about the question of propriety?
Let me finish. Let me finish. Propriety last of all. So is there propriety in how the chief minister is conducting himself, say against Ms. Shakuntala Gamlan, publicly humiliating, defaming her at a political rally? Propriety happens where propriety is earned. Propriety can't be demanded on the basis of, if I may put it bluntly, the lack of dignity that you wouldn't expect from the chief minister.